What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Today on the program, I have Tom Browning. Oh, you've heard that name, Tom Browning? Oh, you've heard of his friends. Ha! You're going to get to hear a little bit more about Tom Browning and his friends in the next few minutes, so stick around. This week's shows, I have two. Count them, two public shows this week. Yes, usually I have my one public show every Friday night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, and this week is no exception. We got the video dance party karaoke jam at the Rab. Your favorite place to be on a Friday night is the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Come full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to yours truly, come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Video dance party karaoke jam starts at 8 p.m. and it goes all the way till 12:30 in the AM. Ooh, the wee hours of Saturday. Speaking of Saturday night, I will be back in Fairfield Bay at Cool Pool Sports Grill. That is the video dance party karaoke jam over at Cool Pool Sports Grill. I spent New Year's with them. I spent Halloween with them. And now I'm spending the beginning of summer, I guess, or maybe it's so hot. It's probably the smack dab in the middle of summer. No, I guess they're starting off summer, and maybe they'll have me back throughout summer, but this is how they're going to kick it off, I guess. They have a big festivity this weekend, Memorial Weekend, starting off the summer just right. And that's from 7:30 p.m. until 11:30 in the p.m. on Saturday. So come on out to Cool Pool Sports Grill in Fairfield Bay. Good times, good people over at Cool Pool. And they got good food, too. They got drinks, they got food, and they got me. Karaoke time over at Cool Pool Sports Grill in Fairfield Bay. Saturday nights. The excitement. Hey, last week I was at Spectators. I know that if you're watching the video version, you'll see that I have the Spectators poster flyer up on the screen. And I'll be back at Spectators, I think, towards the end of the month. I'll let you know more as time progresses. Spectators in North Little Rock. Man, that place is nice, too. I'm so privileged. I'm so honored to be a part of these shows. Speaking of someone who's a part of shows, someone who hangs out at these clubs and these different events and provides some entertainment. Ooh, I guess I give a little hint of what's going to happen. Tom Browning. I got him on the Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, I encourage you to check out the video version. Of course, if you're not driving or running or doing something where it requires your full attention, you can check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. All right, let's get into it with Tom Browning, and we'll talk about him and his friends. Skyping Tom Browning now. Oh, look at it. Look at him. You feel comfy there?
I do. I'm sitting at a piano.
Well, that's very comfortable. Tom Browning, man, on the What Makes You Famous podcast. I'm KeysDAN. Nice to meet you, man.
Very nice to meet you.
Well, you're a singing sensation. That's about all I know about you. Okay, and I guess, yes, we do have people in common. You have Tony Black and Donnie Hammonds that are part of your team. But if people were trying to figure out who is a Tom Browning, what is a Tom Browning, give the people an idea of who you are, man.
I'm a middle-aged school teacher who's always loved music, and I did it when I was younger before I got married. And and I became a teacher, and I stopped doing music. And long story short, I had some friends who were trying to put together a band, and they were looking for a singer. And I hadn't sung in probably 20 years. And they asked me if I'd be interested. And they checked me out at some dive karaoke bar. And I decided, I'd get together with these guys, make music. And I did that, and I've done that for the past probably 6 years.
Well, Tom Browning, I'm a fan of the dive karaoke bar. I get to work at karaoke at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And I do appreciate when people come through and use it as an open mic or a way to break themselves in to feeling comfortable in front of a crowd. Yeah, it's maybe you have a vocalist such as yourself that doesn't have a backing band, but they want to get up and they want to see if they could still do it. You did it when you were a kid. Life got curved. You got married. I don't even know if you had kids or anything. I know we'll get into all that. All right. You're not going to say that you have an accent, but you have a bit of an accent. And if I look up your Facebook page, it says, well, I don't even know how to pronounce Sachem High School North.
Sachem High School North.
Sachem.
In a town called Lake Ronkonkoma.
Lake Ronkonkoma. Now, comedians love that town because it has such a comical sounding name. I think I've heard routines, at least the ones back in the 40s, where they would use I used to play this back in Lake Ronkonkoma, New York, and that's not in the city. That's like, is that upstate?
No, that's Long Island.
Oh, it's Long Island. Okay.
And it's about by train, it's about an hour to Manhattan.
An hour to Manhattan. See, I don't realize how big New York is. All right, I'm here in Conway, Arkansas. I'm from Miami, but I'm here in Conway, Arkansas, and it's a half hour away from Little Rock, our biggest city. So, and our biggest city is not maybe 1 million people. I think you might have 1 million people on your block.
Well, Long Island has 8 million people.
Yes, all living together, love, and just understanding. It's a beautiful place. I saw Crocodile Dundee when he went to New York, and he said, wow, 7 million people living in the same place. It must be the friendliest place in the whole wide world. What do you think?
Long Island and New York City are two very different things, even though they're in proximity to one another. And Ronkonkoma, Lake Ronkonkoma, the town that I grew up in, was a famous getaway for people from New York City who were entertainers and vaudeville actors, and they'd come out to the country. And as you know, after World War II, a lot of the soldiers and people living in New York City and Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, they moved out to Long Island because housing was affordable.
Well, okay. Now you're taking me through a history trip. I do listen to a lot of history podcasts, and I know that when the soldiers came back from the army, this is just after the Great Depression. All right, people had no money, and then this nice long war, kind of really leveled out the economic mess. There was I don't remember the limerick. But years ago, I remember there was two financial advisors or people that were big into finance. They said to solve the economic mess, we need a nice long war. So these people came back with more money in their pockets than maybe their fathers had, or maybe than they had previous to the war. So they went to they flew out of the city and went to Long Island to the suburbs. And bought some property over there. Is that the story of your parents?
Yeah, kind of. My parents' parents,
okay.
My grandparents.
Okay.
And a lot of soldiers after World War II had the GI Bill, and they were able to get low interest rate mortgages to buy a house. And I'm sure you've heard of a place called Levittown. And Levittown was the first mass housing subdivision probably in the United States. And that's where kind of suburbia started.
Yeah, Levittown, a very controversial place. I guess there must have been some. I don't know much about the history. It's kind of fuzzy right now, but it maybe racially motivated somewhat. But okay, certainly a lot of people went out and made, I guess they single family homes, 2 or 3 bedrooms.
Yeah, Billy Joel talks about growing up near Levittown.
Yes.
And my grandparents, they fought in world, they fought in the war, and they moved where housing was cheap, is what it comes down to.
Well, Top Browning, you mentioned Billy Joel. He's a historian. Through music, he tells a story historically, and he tells, just stories. This is what musicians can do. Your superpower, writing songs, singing songs. I know Tony Black has been helping you with the writing songs. I'm not sure if you write some songs as well, but you can talk about what you're feeling, what you're seeing, and really make a historical document through song and teach people about how you're feeling in this world. It doesn't have to be, bubblegum pop. There is a place for that, but the storytellers, the folk singers, the country singers, even the rock singers that tell a story, I guess the jam bands, they tell a story while they're singing their songs. Now tell me, when you're growing up and you have, your grandparents, your parents, what kind of music are they getting you into? Or, what are you doing in Sachem? Are you learning how to play music? Are you singing? What kind of trouble are you getting into as a little baby Tom Browning?
Well, little baby Tom Browning was a wannabe athlete who wasn't very good. I didn't sing in high school because I figured everybody would laugh at me. And when I went to college, I would jam with people occasionally. And I didn't do much. I never really, I went to some open mics and didn't do much, finished college, got a job, and I didn't really think about music for a long, long time.
Okay, so why did you go to college? What did you want to be when you grew up? You kind of put the music aside, but what did you end up going to school for?
I was a political science major, and I wound up, I graduated right in the midst of the late 80s, early 90s recession, where there were no jobs. And I kicked around in construction, got married, and wound up going back. My wife encouraged me to go back to school, and I became a teacher. And I did that and didn't do music for a long time. My late wife got sick. She had multiple sclerosis. She passed away after a long illness. And I'd gotten together with the friends I play with now. And, I'd get out of the house once a week, occasional gig. Just something to kind of keep me sane, keep me busy, and give me something to do. That wasn't being a caretaker. That wasn't anybody but except what person that I could be for a couple hours.
Well, I did see that on your Facebook that you were widowed, and I do. I am sorry about the passing of your wife, but when a man loves a woman, okay, and I know that was Garcia. I can't remember. He and Michelle Pfeiffer. They had a movie called.
It's Meg Ryan, and the movie is called When a Man Loves a Woman.
Yeah, When a Man Loves a Woman. He will go with her through thick and thin. Now, in that movie, Michelle Pfeiffer had an alcohol problem, and Andy Garcia was taking care of her through the worst of it, and all through it, he stuck it out. Now you. All right, and if you want to delve into this, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. You got married, and your wife was very encouraging of you to go back to school and become a teacher. And I don't know what grade are you teaching, and then she got sick. You want to talk about that?
Well, she was diagnosed in March of 2009 with multiple sclerosis, and it got bad quickly. And she got real sick and struggled for about almost 10 years before finally she succumbed to the side effects from the illness. And, life is short.
Yeah.
And you should try to enjoy as much of it as you can, because you're not guaranteed a thing.
No, my first experience with multiple sclerosis is probably Annette Funicello, and that's probably most people's multiple sclerosis. Or I don't know, did Richard Pryor have that as well? He kind of withered away, and his muscles kind of suffered, and
He did.
And I'm guessing that's how she was, where you had to really take care of her, and she needed a caregiver. Well, I'm glad she had you, because not a lot of people would do that. I'm glad she had you, man. So, all right. Well, I mean, you gone through that. You went through, through pain, through sorrow, and through song. Do you keep her memory? Did you think of any music? Did you think of any songs? Did you write any poems, write any stories to her?
It's a funny story. Mm-hmm. After my wife passed, and I was starting to do a lot of music, and then the pandemic hit, and all the open mics and all the place to play music kind of went by the wayside. And I had somebody reach out to me, a woman that I used to date when I was younger, reached out to me on Facebook. Her marriage was ending, and she reached out to me. And we were talking. She was going through a rough time, and she said she had a bottle of whiskey on her nightstand. And I'm like, oh shit, that's a country song. And I'm not really a country artist. But what I managed to do was I wrote a song called Nightstand Whiskey, and I did it just to see if I could write a song, to see if I could do it. And with lyrics in about 20 minutes, and it wound up being about isolation and, numb the pain. And so I figured that was a pretty universal theme, that people go through rough times and they do what they can to try and get through.
Yeah. People are, this was a worldwide shared event that we came through, or we're coming through. We're nearing the end of, and you twofold. Here you are, newly alone, and then you're going to be forced to be even more alone. So to deal with that, I'm glad you had this friend that reached out to you, because it looks like you were kindred spirits. That you both were having relationships that were ending, to different circumstances, to be sure. But it's good that she reached out to you and you reached out to each other, because it could have ended a whole lot worse. I heard about people that were suffering all kinds of depression, being stuck in their houses by themselves, in their little apartments by themselves, just feeling blue. And, you had the ability to put it into song. But did you have the lyrics? Did you have the melody in your head? And I know you're sitting there at a piano. I'm guessing you play piano.
No, not particularly well.
Oh, okay. But
it was my late wife's, and my late mother-in-law gave it to her, and so I tune it. I keep it taken care of. I took in a housemate who plays in my band, who's a keyboard player. So it gets juice. But, other than being able to pluck out a few chords, I'm not really a piano player.
Well, it sounds like you're in a turning point in your life. You have the teaching career, which is great. So good that you're a teacher. I don't know what grades you're teaching. What grade are you teaching?
I teach grades 9 through 12, and I teach alternative school. I teach the bad kids.
Whoa. I was thinking, just being a high school teacher in itself can be daunting, can be rough. But you are Michelle Pfeiffer. in in Dangerous Minds. You know, you are Edward James Olmos. You want to teach calculus to the kids that are getting left behind. Yeah. So, yeah, that's noble, man. That's noble. Do you feel like you're getting through? You feel like you're making a difference in the world in that respect?
I do. And, sometimes it's just showing, I'm showing up every day is the best thing somebody can do. Just get up and try to do the best you can.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, one of my favorite movies is The Principal with Jim Belushi. Not John Belushi, Jim Belushi, The Principal, man. And oh my goodness, who played the screwdriver? Oh, Louis Gossett Jr. Fantastic movie. Rides his motorcycle in, it's got the bat, and he becomes the principal of this inner city, not doing so well school. And you got to go in feeling like you're molding minds. You're shaping the future. I just did a graduation party last week, and I felt like the future looks bright because of people like you. I get to play music for the people, but you actually get to shape their minds. I mean, what are you teaching all the subjects, or is it like a homeroom type of thing, or do you teach one subject or two?
Well, the kids are kind of on computers, and I supervise, and I help them with what I can help them with, because you're talking, each kid takes, your basic subjects, and you have grades 9 through 12. One person could not do that. And honestly, most of my kids come for a short time, and then we try to get them back to their home school.
Oh.
And for me, it's, for us, it's more about trying to change their attitude and their behavior a little bit.
Well, I know I used to date a teacher who was brand new, and when she went to a school, I think she started in a public school, and that first year, I mean, it's like all the teachers got together in the lounge before she got there and broke off all the kids that they didn't want, and that's, that's a bit inside baseball for the teaching industry. I mean, that's, give all those kids that were problems last year to the new girl and let her handle them. And she came home crying almost every night because she just couldn't handle it for a while. And she ended up having to go to a private school and getting a...
And honestly, private schools aren't necessarily a lot better either. Under the best circumstances, it's a tough job, and it can be a really rough job. And that's why teachers most quit after 5 years. People don't stick around.
I've heard this as well. It's not an easy job. I mean, there's tons of jobs that are not easy, but trying to keep 30, maybe 40 kids in line for an hour or 8 hours, I guess, a day, an hour per teacher, but 8 hours per day, trying to keep them all together. Hey, noble. I salute you, for sure.
I keep the same kids 4 hours at a time.
Oh man. But they're all on computers. Can they get on their Facebooks and their Instagrams?
No. They cannot. Fine, but they can't.
But okay, all right. Well, a lot of there's another thing. Teaching has gotten a lot different. I remember, I went to high school, of course, and I remember there was 8 different classes and 8 different teachers. But you said you're on computers for 4 hours, and I'm guessing you're throwing different assignments at them. When I was in school back in the 80s, that's the 1900s for those kids that are listening. When I was.
Much on 80s.
Yeah, I had the Apple Lisa sitting in front of me, and I'm trying to program it using Apple Basic or Pascal. I think that were the 2 names that I remember, and I could make maybe a stick figure go from one side to the other, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I made a stick figure walk across the screen in green. It was a green screen. And, the kids, man, you better know computers. Even for this thing, I already cut out all the little flubs and fumbles that we had in the beginning of this podcast, But even with this, you have to know technology to get anywhere in this world.
Well, and I did have a Skype account, but I forgot the password, and I had to re-register it.
We don't have to go into all that. I just said there was some technical difficulties. We got through it. These old guys got through it. But once you get to a certain age, you become the teacher. Once you get to a certain age, you build up some knowledge, you teach the next generation. And you are actually teaching the next generation in high school, and you're going back and you're reliving, what could have been. If your life would have taken a certain path, I'm sure you have no regrets that it has gone the way that it has, or maybe you have, but you are going back and getting into that music, doing the open mics and getting together with the fellas over at the. Are you going to the studio? Oh wait, you were. I did see some video of you over at Donnie Hammond's studio. Tell me about how you got a hold of Tony Black and Donnie Hammond's.
Well, I knew Donnie. Donnie played around locally. He's a musician in the area that I live in. I live about an hour west of Atlanta.
Okay. See, I didn't know that you had gotten away from Rockaway or.
Yeah. I've lived in it. I've lived in a town called Dallas, Georgia, for the last 17 years.
How did you get there?
I moved from New York, and my wife had received a transfer to Atlanta, keeping her New York stuff. And we were itching to get off of Long Island and go somewhere different and do something different. And we moved down to Texas, and I wound up I got a job like 4 days later, and I wound up, we wound up buying a house because we lived in apartments and we were just tired of apartment living, and was able to get a reasonable house, which in New York is tough.
Yeah. Isn't that nice? I mean, if you watch any of the movies that come out of New York, these people are spending $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom efficiency, and that's like the joke. And you watch Friends, and these guys are living in these amazing apartments, and some of them don't have jobs, and you're going, something don't add up here. But, I'm from Miami, a big town where rent is a bit higher, and I moved, thankfully I got married. And I moved to Arkansas, where she's from, and we bought a house. It's nice. It's nice living in the big city or near the ocean. But sometimes, if you want to start a family, live a life, and afford something reasonable, you got to get out of that city and get into the country, and that's where you're at, man. But fortunately, you found Donnie Hammond's. And you're developing a relationship with him. And tell me more. Tell me more about your adventures in recording away from teaching.
Well, I know Donnie from being a local musician, and he ran like the Adairsville Locomotive Festival. My band played there a couple of times. And so I'd known Donnie, and I knew that Donnie recorded, and I wound up recording a friend's song, a guy who plays in my band. He wrote a song years ago, and I went and recorded it. And, Donnie always plays a little snippet from the recording session. And Tony heard my voice, and apparently he liked it and wanted me to do some stuff.
Now these are good dudes for sure. If you haven't listened to my loyal listener, if you haven't listened to Donnie Hammond's podcast, check it out. The man has been, I think he was a teenager, just barely out of school, and he said, "You know what? I want to do a recording studio." He got some land from his family, and he built a recording studio at a young age, and it's just been building. I mean, if I had the wherewithal, well, I guess I have. I started on the radio back in '86, just after high school. So yeah, I guess, thankfully, you find out what you want in life, and you go do it. If you have that opportunity when you're young, of course, I've done other things in my life, not just that, but Donnie did that. And Tony, man, that guy can write and write and write. Prolific. I see his lyrics coming down my screen all day long.
He sends a lot of stuff. And there's a woman that he sent me a clip of some music that she's working on. He wants us to do a duet.
Who's that?
And when I get a minute, she has a rough sketch of what she wants to do. She came up with the melody and the first couple of verses and a chorus, and it needs a few more lyrics. So I'm going to try to do that, and hopefully we can record. She's in England, so it's going to be it's going to be all, through the internet, and, but everybody, I mean, that's how Tony and Donnie work. So that's the new way to work together.
Yeah, Tom Browning, it can be done. Who's the lady in England?
Oh,
That's all right.
I have to look at my phone. But she's got a good, strong voice, and the lyrics that she sent me seem to be pretty good.
All right,
really good at.
Well, for the people watching the video, we've lost your face, and now we've got a fan. There he is. now we've got Kilroy. Kilroy was here. I see a nose. I'm not editing any of this out. None of it. But no, that's a cool thing that the internet can be used for good. I've been talking to people all over this planet of ours, and people, they have bands that they've never met before that are recording together. Vocalist in Australia, bassist in Germany, drummer in the Irish Emirates, I'm sorry, the Arab Emirates. So it's so cool that you can do this. And I know as long as they have a good recording. Now, I say good, I think I was talking to Donnie, and one of the guys that he was recording just recorded his voice on his phone, and it was good enough that Donnie could put his little magic dust on there and make it into a song. Fantastic. The technology. Now you do have that piano there, and you do have one of your I guess it's one of your bandmates. Do you have a full band that you go out with, Tom Browning?
Well, normally we play a piece, guitar, keyboards, and me on vocals, and occasionally we play with the bass player and a drummer.
Now, do you have a regular place that you go weekly, or are you traveling around town there?
Traveling around town. I had a semi-regular gig in Roswell for a while, and starting to look at some other stuff. There's a winery that I'm going to play at the end of July, and that should be a good gig. And things are slowly starting to happen. Not fast enough for me, but I also haven't been working at this for 25 years, or 30 years like Donnie has.
Well, I mean, what about Bob? Baby steps, man. Baby steps. We're getting back into this, and I'm glad that you're here. Man, I listened to your voice. You have at least, two songs that I've heard out there on Spotify, and they're also on YouTube. You got a sweet, sweet voice. Now, Donnie did put out that video that he recorded on his phone. Take that down, man, because that just sounds like echo. I mean, I could tell you sound great. And it was like a capturing of your recording studio, but there was so much echo, and I went, "Oh man, that just makes him look bad." No, he actually was. It was nice to see a behind the scenes, inside baseball type of thing that you were sitting there in his studio singing your song. But the actual recorded version of it that is out there on YouTube, I think it was the one's Through My Eyes, and then the other one, oh my goodness, Love That Lied. That was the one that he recorded a little bit and put it on his Facebook page. Beautiful songs. How'd those come about?
Basically, Tony sent me the lyrics and a pre-recorded track with basic instrumental track, and I'd go in with Donnie and try to come up with a melody line, and then try to make the lyrics and the music match, and approach it that way. And then Donnie will layer it if he wants some background vocals and he thinks they fit. I'll add some background vocals. Donnie will add his touches, maybe little keyboard, little guitar.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's nice to have somebody. It's nice to have people. It's nice to have a team that can help you to get to the next level. Because you can go to a karaoke bar, an open mic, and sing a song and show people your talents, and then that is ultimately how you got recognized. So people that are listening are getting gems here. Going to the karaoke bar is not just for unwinding after a long week of work. It could be the way that you get recognized, and somebody could hear your voice and go, "Huh, I want to work with that guy." That's fantastic, man. That's fantastic that you met these people. Now, you have a small band, and sometimes that could be a bigger band. Now you're playing at this winery. Don't keep it a secret. Tell everything. Tell everything you know.
Well, it's a local Georgia winery, about 15 minutes from my house, called Lucy Vineyards, and their wine is actually really good. It's a nice place. It's a good sized venue on a nice piece of land, which lends itself for live music.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of weddings at some of these wineries, some of these barns, some of these places that they double up. They rent their little space out for events, and to have a band there. I mean, yeah, I'm biased because I'm a DJ, but there's nothing like live music. I listen to live music and I watch you guys play. I'm so jealous, man. I think I could play 3 chords on a guitar, and maybe half of one on a piano, but nothing like getting up in front of anyone and playing music for them live, playing an instrument. Are you playing guitar? Or you say you're not playing piano. Are you playing any instruments, or is your voice your instrument?
My voice is my instrument. I can play a little bit of guitar. I don't feel like I play well enough to play in front of people quite yet, but I know basic chords. I know enough chords to write a song. I know basic chords, but I wouldn't call myself a guitar player.
Well, I think we're on the ground floor, Tom Browning, of your career, to where you are taking off. Whether you become a touring artist or a recording artist or a little bit of both. You could be that guy that becomes the wedding singer. There's different ways to be in this business. I mean, I could have been the DJ that goes all around the world playing for people, or I'm the guy that stays close to home, so I get to sleep in my bed at night. There's different ways to think about things. What do you want, Tom Browning? Do you want to be the touring guy? Because I mean, it seems like you're unattached right now through.
Well,
What's that?
I actually am attached.
Hey,
I've been in a relationship for about a year, and he's supportive of what I do. And Donnie Hammond is really kind of an inspiration, because he's a local musician who kind of goes home and sleeps in his bed most of the time, and has a good life and a nice wife and friends, and he works constantly, and I would be happy with that. I have a career. I'm getting toward the end. I have about 4 years or so before I retire.
You're still a young man. You're still a young man, Tom Browning. You're going to retire in 4 years, and go ahead.
I'm 55 years old.
Nah, I'm 53. No big deal. We're in the prime of our life. This is middle age. We got plenty of years left in us. A lot of fuel left in that tank. We're going, man.
Yeah, I tell myself that when I get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, screech. Every time I do an event, of course I have imposter syndrome. I think one day they're going to find me out. But every time I do an event, and I've been doing this since '86. That's the 1900s, kids. No, and I think maybe I should retire. Am I still in touch? I just did a graduation party last week. The kids were having a great time. They were dancing, singing, loving. I imagine you in front of a crowd, in front of that winery crowd, in front of any crowd, maybe at a festival, you're going to be playing for people. You're going to see that energy. What do you feel when you get up on stage and you're the front man?
Well, because of the setup that I have, it's mostly acoustic. We kind of lean toward the singer-songwritery thing a little bit more because it's, we usually don't play with the full band. And I'm somebody who grew up in that era with all these great singers and songwriters. I was a huge Beatles fan as a little kid, still am. And you and me were fortunate to grow up in an era where there were really a lot of good singers.
Man, the 80s, when people go, hey, how come they don't make any more 80s music? Yes, I had a young lady ask me, how come there's no more 80s music? Because we're not in the 80s, man. It was an era. It was a time. It was a perfect time. Every song, of course I'm remembering it fondly. My memory gets fuzzy. But I listen to the ballads. I listen to the new wave. I listen to the rock, the punk, I guess it'll be post-punk. It's not actually punk. It's post-punk now, in that time. The clothes, the style, the bangles. Oh, my goodness. I'm talking about the bangles, which are the fashion, and the actual bangles, but you're...
Well, and I was a huge Bangles fan because I like Beatles kind of pop. And Susanna Hoffs wasn't bad to look at either.
Yeah.
Still not to look at.
I just shared something on my Instagram of her just doing that in that Walk Like an Egyptian video where she turns her eyes back and forth. Walk like an Egyptian. Oh, my goodness. I became a man that day.
Well, besides being stunning, she's also a really good songwriter.
Agreed, man, and she's still doing it, and still looks pretty much the same. It's amazing, that I don't know, our the people that we grew up with, the singers, the talents that are still. It's amazing how many are still performing. REO Speedwagon, Billy Joel. We just talked about him in the beginning of this, and there's so many that are still going.
He sold out Madison Square Garden like 87 times in a row.
Amazing. Well, you talk about the Beatles. They had that, was it like an 8 to 10 year run, and they just kind of burned out. But they did so much in that short amount of time. And then the four of them went off and did their own solo things and became shooting stars in their own right. I mean, amazing.
How many musicians would be happy with Paul McCartney's second career?
Yeah. Now years ago, I had another little girl ask me, was Paul McCartney in another band before Wings? Let me tell you about the Beatles. But no, man. And even after Wings, he's still doing solo stuff. And I had a kid maybe 2 or 3 years ago say, isn't it nice that Kanye West got that old guy Paul McCartney a career?
Yeah. I had a student who was telling me, yeah, he's a pretty good guitar player. This kid said to me that Kanye West song, 3, 4, 5 seconds. And I had to explain to him. I said, dude, he's a great everything player.
Dude. Now, let me tell you, he would play the guitar upside down. He learned to play it left-handed because he's famously left-handed. But he would pick up John's guitar and play it upside down. And he's been asked often, how come you play it upside down? He says, well, because if I restrung it, John would knock my block off. He'd punch. Punch him out. So he had to learn how to play John's guitar upside down. Amazing.
And that's the reason he bought the Hofner bass, the violin bass, because you could string it upside down.
Amazing. See, and you know things like this, man. You definitely are a fan. And now you play a little bit of guitar. Did you take any lessons for that, or is this something that you're picking up right now in this time?
I've taken lessons on and off, and singing comes easily. Playing guitar does not.
Gotcha. Now, the nice thing about if you do learn how to play this guitar well enough to where you can accompany yourself, that is a dream. It's almost like, well, a comedian, I think, has the least amount of equipment that they have to bring with them. Maybe they have to bring a microphone. Most of the time, they're just bringing a bottle of water. But a guitarist, if they can play guitar, all they have to do is play the guitar in the, on the street, busking, and you might make a couple bucks. You might make dinner playing for the people. That's a pretty cool thing that you can do. There's not many singers that can just get out in the middle of the road, in the middle of a city, and go and just start singing, belting one out. Most of the time they need some kind of an accompaniment.
And anything that you can do on an acoustic guitar, doesn't have an expiration date.
Yeah.
It's not going to be dated. It's not going to come from any particular time period. And if you could take, a good song is a good song. And if somebody has the ability to sing it well and play it decently on guitar, people are still going to like the song.
Yeah, I think there's a group that's called the Axis of Awesome that came up with a song called Four Chords, and they played the same four chords and several songs. So, Tom Browning, learn those four chords.
Oh, listen, I know, the capo is my friend, because once you know D, A, and G, A minor, and you move a capo up and down, you can play an awful lot of songs that way.
Now you're talking way over my head. What is this? Smoke on the Water? E A G E A G A.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the first song that people learn on guitar if they're learning guitar is Smoke on the Water. At least the first little bit of it.
Yeah, but if you know a couple of chords and you know the positions, you put a capo on the guitar, move it up and down. You're playing the same positions, but you're in different keys, and that opens up the amount of songs you can do.
Well, that is the dream, man. You can take that guitar, slap it on your back, head over to the winery, and go do a Tom Browning show. Make a couple bucks, That's a little extra cheese. You got the career, you got the day job. That's got the insurance. I got one of those. It keeps the family going. And then you do the weekend job, the night job, and make the extra cheese, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. I'm not looking to be famous. I'm not looking to be a star. I want to be a working musician.
Well, you're very popular. I'm hearing lots of buzzing from your phone, and I will let you go in the next couple of minutes. I want to start winding this thing down, landing this plane. We've learned a little bit about you, Tom Browning. But
with me.
What's that? You
didn't want to spend all night with me shooting the breeze?
I do want to spend all night with you, but my wife would get jealous.
Oh, okay. I don't have any problems in your marriage.
Well, Tom Browning, there's ways to get a hold of you. I know I found you on the internet, on Facebook, and I know I have your Spotify link, and I know that there's a topic. I don't know if you have a YouTube, but at least there's a topic that was put together by YouTube. What are the ways to get a hold of you? Do you have a website made up, or how do people get a hold of you?
I have a band website, Tom Browning and Friends. That's the name of my band.
I did see that.
Yeah, that's original, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw an event for Tom Browning and Friends, but I didn't realize there was a Tom Browning and Friends website. That's cool. Now you could sing children's songs, man. Hey, come see Tom Browning and his friends.
Well, and we have, and the website, we have Facebook, that's our Facebook page. And we have a website called tombrouningband.com.
Okay. I'll look up
You know,
tombrouningband.com and make sure that people get a hold of you there. Now, if what kind of collaborations are you looking for? You got the lady in England that's about to collaborate with you. If people slide into your DMs, what kind of events are you open to do as Tom Browning, the solo or the duo, or Tom Browning, the full band?
pretty much, anybody that's willing to pay us and hire us.
Well, what kind of events have you done that gives you the experience to do other events? I know when people are starting out, you go, hey, what have you done? Do you have any experience? Well, no, I don't have any experience. I'm just starting out. But you do have some experience. You've done some of those open mics. Have you done any backyard parties, the weddings, the things like that?
I've played at parties. I've played at a wedding. I had a gig at a local restaurant by my house for 9 months. I had my band. We still have a fairly steady gig at this place in Roswell called Coffee and Cocktails.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. If it's a steady gig, I want you to give shout outs and explain to the people, what is Coffee and Cocktails?
Coffee and Cocktails. They sell drinks, they sell coffee, they sell food, and it's a really nice place, and it's in a good area, for live music. And the thing I didn't realize is how much live music there is in the area that I live in. I figured I'm down, Dallas, Georgia. What's going on in Dallas, Georgia? 45 minutes away from me, there's an awful lot going on.
Yeah.
And even like in Cartersville, it's only a few minutes away where Donnie's from. And, there's this whole big music scene. And I think when you live in a place that's not necessarily the big city, people have to find a way to entertain themselves.
Yeah.
And what better way than making music?
Yeah, you're saying that you have a lot of people that do the same thing. And for the people that are listening, I don't want them to think of that as competition. There's room for everyone to do this. The more, the merrier. Here in Conway, Arkansas, population 50,000. There's quite a thriving, and there's at least 3 colleges out there. So a lot of college bands, a lot of kids with nothing to do. Instead of going out there drinking, well, maybe they'll learn some instruments and get together and form a garage band. But I know that there's a place down the street, and I mention this all the time, but I don't get to get there as often as I'd like. Sunday nights at TC's Midtown, which was used to be the Grand Ole Opry West, but now it's TC's Midtown. On Sunday nights, they got a blues jam or the jam session where all the bands that are not working on Sunday night, which is most of them, they'll come together and team up, maybe the guitarist from that band and the drummer from that band. And it's a good way to network. Do you have anything like that in your town?
Before COVID, there were a lot of really good open mics. And I had a friend, this guy named Chip McGuire, who's a really good singer-songwriter himself, and who's friends with Donnie. And Donnie was actually his inspiration to be like a working local musician. And he saw me sing at one open mic he was putting on, and he asked me to come to a new one that he was starting. And we did that up until COVID. And I had the opportunity to meet a lot of really good musicians in different genres. I was one of those years ago. I was one of those people who dumped all over country music and made fun of it. But then I started playing with people who were really good. And, and maybe it's a matter of age, but the songs have something to say. And, this, a person with a guitar and a story to tell, you can't beat that.
Yeah, country music is not the country music of our fathers or even our grandfathers. Country music now is the rock and roll of the 50s, to where it's got a little bit of a beat, it's got a little bit of an edge to it, mostly. Some of it's real repetitive. They're talking about a girl and a truck and a drinking and a backyard party. It's some of it gets real formulaic, and that's the ones that maybe the big music industry was getting involved in. But the independent stuff, it kicks butt. Some of that stuff that gets put out on YouTube and SoundCloud, for some of the kids that are trying to break in, some of that stuff's got some real substance. There's story to it. And yeah, between Tony Black and you writing for yourself and Donnie Hammond's doing the recording, that's 3 shout outs that you've given. I know you've given a few other shout outs. I mean, let's wind this thing down. I know I've taken some of your time. I don't want this to be the last time that we talk for sure as things progress. I want you to come back anytime and tell me more about the Tom Browning story as it unfolds. But give shout outs to people. Tell people where you're going to be in the next little bit, because I'm going to put this up as quick as I can, and then we'll do some last words for the people and get on out of here.
My next gig that I know of, I'm playing July 1st. I'm playing with a full band at High Card Brewery in Tucker, Georgia, and we'll be a 5-piece. We'll have a bass player and a drummer, and who also sing really well. And so that changes the complexion of our sets a little bit when you have a full band. And that's great. I have July 8th, I'm playing at a country club up in Flowery Branch. Not a country club, a yacht club. and I have to look at the name of the place that's on my phone. If I don't see it on my phone, it doesn't exist.
No, that's all right. I'll make sure that I put the website up so that way people can find you, and also your Facebook and all your other social medias as I can find them. And then, give shout outs to the people in the band and all the other people that have helped you along the way. And then we'll give last words for the people and get on out of here.
Well, my guitar player and my keyboard player grew up together. They've known each other for 60 years. They went to elementary school together, and they're a good bit older than me, but they've been playing music for the last 50 plus years. And, they were cool enough to give me a chance to play with them. And we had some common musical. And like I said, when you keep it acoustic simple, there's an awful lot of stuff you can do that doesn't fit in a particular genre, particular time period. And that's what we kind of go for. It's an unofficial catchphrase, but I like to call Tom Browning and Friends songs you want to sing along to.
I like that. That's lofty, man. That's really nice.
But it's true. We do a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, and it's kind of, and people are like, oh yeah, I like that song. And if you get people to sing along with you, then you've done something right.
That's right. When you write a song that inspires people enough to learn the song. I mean, I've forgotten so many things, and you being a teacher, knowing I've forgotten so many things that were on the test. But song lyrics, and movie quotes, stuffed in my head for sure. Oh, you want me to spit out some lyrics? I got that. It's amazing. It's amazing. So write one of those songs, man, and put it out there and inspire people. That's what you do. It's your superpower. Fantastic.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And you taking the time to interview me. I didn't think I had that much to say.
Man, everybody's got a story, and I'm glad that I got at least a little piece of your story. Tom Browning, it's going to unfold as the years go by. We're still whippersnappers in our 50s. We're whippersnappers, youngins. We got plenty in the tank still. All right, man. I like to finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra you wake up with every morning, or whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Tom Browning, give the last words for the people.
Enjoy your life as much as you can for as long as you can, because you're not guaranteed time. Time is not a luxury. You don't know when it's going to go away. Enjoy the ride.
Well, there you have it, party people. Tom Browning. What a cool dude. I mean, there's a dude that, he liked a little music, and then he started up a family and decided, hey, let's get a real job for now. I know music is a real job, but he put those music endeavors to the side to help to shape minds. The children are our future. And so he taught them well, and he continues to teach them well and help them lead the way. Is that sounding like song lyrics a little bit? Well, maybe it is, okay? Maybe they turned it into a song. Tom Browning turns his thoughts and feelings into songs as well. And he's got a whole team that helps him put it into reality. And that's a power that he has to entertain the people. So go catch him. Look up Tom Browning, TomBrowningBand.com. That's the place you ought to be, so you can find out more about Tom Browning and his band. Yeah, TomBrowningBand.com. Yeah, and then look him up on Facebook, follow him around. If he doesn't get a chance to update that website too often, you know he's going to be sharing some events on his Facebook page. So look him up, stalk that man. He's on the ground floor, rekindling his career, and hire him. The man's got a voice like an angel. And he's got a whole band, or he's got either a small band, a 2-piece, or a 4-piece. Whatever you need, call Tom Browning, TomBrowningBand.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Thank you so much, Tom Browning, for being a part of the show. And if you, now I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.